The warning came at 0600 hours, Earth Standard Time. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Defense Station Olympus, watching the red planet Mars glow in the distance. Her coffee grew cold in her hand as the communication alert screamed through the station. All channels receiving emergency broadcast, the communications officer shouted. It's from the Zarkathian Empire. They're transmitting across the entire galaxy. Sarah's heart stopped. The Zarkothian Empire ruled 40% of known space. For 3,000 years, they had crushed any species that refused to bow. Earth had refused 6 months ago. Everyone knew something terrible would come. Nobody knew it would be this terrible. The main screen flickered to life. High Executor Drellin appeared, his reptilian face cold and emotionless. Behind him, Sarah could see the curved viewports of a massive warship. Through those windows, she saw something that made her blood freeze. Mars Colony 7, home to 10 billion humans. People of the galaxy, Drellin's voice echoed. Today you witness the price of defiance. The human species was offered the honor of joining our great empire. They refused. Now they learn what refusal costs. Sarah grabbed the communication panel. Get me Earth Command. Get me Mars Colony. Get me anyone? But it was too late. The broadcast was one way only. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds could only watch. They could do nothing else. Around Mars Colony 7, 300 Zarkathian warships moved into position. The colony consisted of 50 massive domed cities, each home to 200 million people. Engineers had spent 60 years building those cities. Families had lived there for 3 generations. Children played in parks under artificial sky. Scientists worked in laboratories. Teachers educated students. Normal people living normal lives. Those lives had 17 minutes left. Attention Mars Colony 7, Drellin continued. You have 1 solar hour to evacuate. Send your people into space in whatever ships you have. We are merciful. We give you time to run. Sarah knew it was a lie. Mars Colony 7 had transport ships, but not enough. Not nearly enough. In 1 hour, they might evacuate 50 million people. Maybe 100 million if they packed the ships dangerously full. That left 9.9 billion with nowhere to go. On Mars, alarms howled through every dome. People ran through streets, trying to reach spaceports. Parents carried children. The elderly struggled to keep up. Security forces tried to maintain order, but order was impossible. Where could people go? The math was simple and cruel. 99% of them would die here. Sarah watched her personal screen, tears streaming down her face. Her sister lived in Dome 12. Her sister's family? 3 children. Sarah had visited them 2 months ago. The youngest, Maya, had just turned 4. She had shown Sarah her drawings of Earth, a place she had never seen but dreamed of visiting. Maya would never see Earth. The hour passed like a nightmare. Transport ships launched, crammed with desperate people. They fled into Mars orbit, engines screaming. Behind them, billions remained. In the streets, in their homes. In schools and hospitals and shopping centers, waiting for death. The hour has ended, Drellin announced. His face showed nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just cold duty. Let this be remembered across the galaxy. This is what happens to those who defy the Zarkathian Empire. The warships fired. Antimatter weapons struck the domes. The first explosions were bright, almost beautiful from a distance. Pure white light that expanded like small suns. Then the domes shattered. Atmosphere vented into Mars's thin air. The light faded, replaced by fire and destruction. Dome 1 died in seconds. 200 million people simply ceased to exist. The antimatter didn't leave bodies. It didn't leave ruins. It left nothing but empty craters. Dome 2, Dome 3, Dome 4. Sarah screamed, but no sound came out. Around her, officers wept openly. One young lieutenant vomited. Another collapsed. But they could do nothing. Earth's military was strong, but the Zarkathian fleet around Mars was stronger. Any rescue attempt would fail. Earth would lose its defenders and Mars' colony would still burn. The broadcast continued for 47 minutes. The Empire wanted everyone to see. They wanted every species in the galaxy to understand. This is what resistance costs. This is what happens when you say no. Dome 12 exploded at minute 32. Sarah's sister, her family, Maya, with her drawings. Gone. By minute 47, Mars Colony 7 was gone. 10 billion humans had become dust and memory. The Zarkathian fleet hung in space, weapons still glowing hot. Drilln appeared on screen one final time. Earth has 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. If you refuse, we will select another colony. Then another. We will continue until you submit or until you are extinct. Choose wisely. The broadcast ended. Sarah stood in the observation deck, surrounded by crying officers. Outside the window, Mars looked the same as before. The planet hadn't changed, but everything else had changed forever. Her personal communication device buzzed. A priority message from Earth Command. From General Marcus Webb himself. Sarah opened it with shaking hands. All senior officers report to Geneva Command immediately. Operation Alien Extinct is now active. The time for hiding is over. The time for mercy is over. They wanted to teach us fear. We will teach them extinction. Sarah wiped her tears. She looked at Mars one more time, at the planet where her family had died, where 10 billion people had been murdered while the galaxy watched. The Empire thought this would break humanity's spirit. They thought wrong. Sarah turned to her second-in-command. Lieutenant Commander Harris, you have the station. I'm going to Earth. When I return, we're going to war. Admiral Harris asked, his voice hollow. Can we win against the entire Zarkathian Empire? Sarah's eyes were cold as ice. We're not going to win, Commander. We're going to make them extinct. Every warship, every military base, every weapon they have. We're going to erase their ability to ever do this again. Not just to us. To anyone. She left the observation deck. Behind her, Mars hung in space, silent and dead. Ahead of her, humanity prepared for a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Zarkathian Empire had just made the worst mistake in their 3,000-year history. They had shown humanity what they were capable of. Now humanity would show them the same. Part 2. The Hidden. Arsenal. The Zarkathian High Council expected Earth to surrender within 24 hours. When 48 hours passed with no response, they became curious. When 72 hours passed, they grew concerned. When 1 week passed in complete silence, they became worried. Earth had gone dark. Every communication channel was closed. Every colony had evacuated to the home planet. The transport ships that escaped Mars Colony 7 had reached Earth orbit and then disappeared from all scanners. It was as if humanity had simply stopped existing. Should we be concerned? Council member Thrax asked Emperor Wraith. They sat in the Grand Council chamber on Zarkath Prime, surrounded by holographic displays showing their empire's territory. Concerned? About humans? Breath laughed, his deep voice echoing. They are in shock, grief-stricken, probably arguing among themselves whether to surrender or commit species suicide. Give them time. They will kneel. But Varath was wrong. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, 5 kilometers below the surface, lay a facility that appeared on no maps. Its official designation was Research Station Aquarius. Its real name was Project Thanatos, and it had been operational for 197 years. General Marcus Webb stood in the main operations center. Surrounded by Earth's top military commanders and scientists, they had gathered from every corner of the planet. Some had been in hiding for decades, pretending to be civilians. Others had worked in secret laboratories disguised as commercial businesses. Gentlemen and ladies, Webb began, for 2 centuries, since we first made contact with the Zarkathian Empire, we knew this day would come. We studied their history. We saw what they did to species that refused to submit. We prepared. Dr. Kenji Yamamoto stepped forward. He was 80 years old, but his mind remained sharp. He had dedicated his entire life to this moment. We present Project Thanatos, he said, touching a control panel. A holographic display showed a device the size of a marble. Quantum-entangled antimatter bombs, Kenji explained. Once activated, they can be remotely detonated from anywhere in the galaxy. The quantum entanglement means they cannot be blocked or jammed. How many do we have? Admiral Chen asked. She had arrived from Defense Station Olympus 2 days ago. Her eyes still red from crying, but her voice steady. 43,000 devices, Kenji answered. Placed over the past 70 years by our agents throughout Zarkathian space. The room went silent. 43,000 bombs. Where are they located? Commander Elena Volkov asked. She led Earth's Special Operations Forces, the Ghost Soldiers, who didn't officially exist. Military installations only, Kenji assured her. Weapons factories. Fleet construction yards. Military academies. Command centers. 0 civilian targets. We are not them. Webb nodded. Next presentation. Commander Volkov. Lena stepped forward. Unlike the scientists, she wore black tactical gear. Scars marked her face from operations nobody would ever know about. Project Reaper, she said simply. The hologram changed, showing microscopic machines. Nanoscale self-replicating weapons, Elena explained. Programmed to target specific DNA sequences. We can design them to attack Zarkathian military equipment, shutting down their weapon systems, engines, life support. Anything electronic? How do we deploy them? An officer asked. They're already deployed, Elena said with a cold smile. For 30 years, we've been releasing them on every major Zarkathian military world. They've been dormant, hiding in the soil, in water systems, in air vents, waiting for activation codes. Admiral Chen leaned forward. So we can shut down their entire military infrastructure. Not shut down, Elena corrected. Capture. Once we activate the nanobots, Zarkathian ships and weapons will stop working. We can then take control of them remotely. Use their own fleet against them. Webb let that information settle before continuing. Final presentation. Admiral Chen, this one is yours. Sarah stood. Despite her grief, despite her exhaustion, she held herself with dignity. Project Ghost, she announced. The hologram showed sleek ships unlike any design the galaxy had seen. They seemed to bend light around themselves, making them difficult to focus on even in the display. Stealth ships, Sarah explained. Coated in programmable matter that bends light and gravity waves, current galactic sensors cannot detect them. We've been building them in lunar darkside facilities for 40 years. We have 217 fully operational ghost ships, only 200 against the Empire's 10,000 warships, someone asked doubtfully. Sarah smiled for the first time in days. It was not a happy smile. These aren't warships. They're delivery systems. Each ghost ship carries 20 million nanobots. Once released, those bots can infiltrate entire fleets. We don't need to outfight the Empire. We need to outsmart them. Webb walked to the center of the room. For 200 years, humanity has played a role. We acted primitive, technologically inferior. The Empire saw us as we wanted them to see us. They thought our weapons were weak. Our tactics simple. They were wrong. He pulled up a galactic map. Red dots marked Zarkathian military installations. There were thousands of them. Every red dot represents a quantum bomb or a nanobot deployment site. We've infiltrated their empire completely. Human merchants selling goods. Human students learning in their academies. Human tourists visiting their worlds. All of them were agents, placing our weapons, gathering intelligence. What's our strategy? Admiral Chen asked. Webb's face hardened. Total war. Not against civilians. Against their military capability? We will destroy or capture every weapon, every ship, every installation they have. When we're finished, the Zarkathian Empire will be unable to threaten any species ever again. They'll retaliate, someone warned. They'll attack Earth. Let them try, Webb said. Our orbital defenses are 50 years more advanced than anything they've seen. Earth itself is a fortress. But we won't fight defensively. We'll take the war to them. Dr. Yamamoto raised his hand. General, there's one more thing. We've developed quantum communication devices that cannot be intercepted. Every agent we have in Zarkathian space can coordinate instantly. When we strike, we'll strike everywhere simultaneously. They won't know what hit them. Webb nodded. Timeline. We have one ambassador still in Zarkathian space, Thomas Kane. He's been waiting for this moment his entire career. Tomorrow, he delivers our message to the High Council. After that, we begin Operation Alien Extinct. What will the message say? Alina asked. Webb pulled up the text. It was short and direct. You killed 10 billion of our people while the galaxy watched. You thought this would teach us to fear you. You were wrong. You have 24 hours to evacuate every world you've conquered, every military installation you operate, every fleet you command. Any world where you maintain military presence after 24 hours becomes a target. This is your only warning. This is your only chance. The room erupted in discussion. Some thought it was too aggressive. Others thought it wasn't aggressive enough. Admiral Chen stood, and the room quieted. They murdered my sister, she said softly. They murdered my nieces and nephew. They murdered 10 billion people and broadcast it for entertainment. General Webb is showing them more mercy than they deserve by giving them warning. I say we send the message. The vote was unanimous. The next day, Ambassador Thomas Kane walked into the Zarkathian High Council chamber. He had served as Earth's ambassador for 20 years, always smiling, always diplomatic, always seemingly weak. Today he did not smile. Emperor Varath sat on his throne, amused. Has Earth come to surrender? He asked Mockingly. Thomas placed a data chip on the council table. Earth's response to your massacre, Your Majesty. He turned and walked out without waiting for permission to leave. Behind him, Council Member Thrax picked up the chip and loaded it. The message played. The council chamber fell silent as they read. Then Emperor Varath began laughing. They threaten us? Humans? Kill this ambassador. Then prepare the fleet. We will turn Earth into glass. But Council Member Thrax wasn't laughing. He had studied humans. He knew their history. They were the only species to survive 2 world wars and then reach the stars anyway. They were survivors, fighters. Your Majesty, Thrax said carefully. Perhaps we should investigate whether they actually have these capabilities, Silence. Varath roared. I will not be threatened by food. Send the fleet. Make Earth burn like Mars Colony 7. Then we will hunt down every human in the galaxy and erase them from existence. The orders were sent. 10,000 Zarkathian warships began moving toward Earth. Their journey would take 15 days at maximum speed. The Empire expected an easy victory. They had superior numbers, superior technology, superior everything. They were about to learn that superiority means nothing when you fight an enemy who has been preparing for this exact war for 200 years. In Geneva, General Webb watched the Zarkathian fleet begin its journey. He pressed a button on his communication device. All ghost ships, he transmitted. Deploy to intercept coordinates. Operation Alien Extinct begins in 14 days. Show them what happens when you murder children and call it power. Earth was going to war, and the galaxy would never be the same. Part 3. The first dawn, day 14, arrived. The Zarkathian fleet of 10,000 warships approached Earth's solar system. They came in battle formation, weapons charged, shields at maximum. Emperor Varath himself commanded from his flagship, the Imperial Dominion. He wanted to personally watch Earth burn. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the broadcast. The Empire was streaming this battle just as they had streamed the Mars Colony 7 massacre. They wanted everyone to see humanity's final defeat. They wanted to prove that resistance was pointless. This is High Executor Dreln. The familiar reptilian face appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds. Today, you witness justice. The human species chose defiance. Now, they face extinction. Let this be the final lesson. On Earth, People gathered in streets and homes, watching the sky. They knew the fleet was coming. They knew what it meant. But General Webb had spoken to them 3 days ago. He had told them to trust, to believe, to remember that humanity had survived worse.
All defensive platforms online.
Admiral Chen reported from Defense Station Olympus. Around Earth, 50 massive orbital fortresses powered up. Each one bristled with weapons that the Empire had never seen before. Weapons that Earth had hidden for decades. Ghost Fleet. Report status. Webb commanded from Geneva Command. 217 ships ready, came the response. We're in position, sir. They don't see us. Webb smiled. Of course they didn't see them. The ghost ships were hiding in plain sight. Some were inside asteroids that looked natural. Others were beneath Europa's ice oceans. Several were actually inside Jupiter's atmosphere, hidden by storms. The most daring ones were positioned inside Earth's own moon. In caverns hollowed out over 40 years, an enemy fleet entering engagement range in 5 minutes, the tactical officer announced. Those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. On Verit's flagship, the Emperor stood before his command crew. Target every city, every orbital station, every human settlement. I want nothing left. Nothing, Your Majesty, his tactical officer said nervously. Long-range scans show only 50 Earth defensive platforms. We outnumber them 200 to 1. This seems too easy. Verith backhanded the officer, sending him sprawling. You question my judgment? Humans are weak, primitive. They have no chance. Begin the attack. The Zarkothian fleet opened fire. 10,000 ships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. The space between Earth and the fleet lit up with energy beams, missiles, and plasma bursts. It was the most concentrated firepower ever deployed in human history. Earth's defensive platforms returned fire, but they seemed overwhelmed. 3 platforms exploded within the first minute. Then 5 more. The Empire's forces cheered. Victory was at hand. Then everything changed. Now Webb commanded quietly. The ghost ships revealed themselves. They didn't decloak gradually. They simply appeared, materializing from nowhere. 217 ships suddenly occupied space that had appeared empty moments before. The Zarkathian sensors screamed warnings, but too late. The ghost ships didn't fire weapons. Instead, they released their payloads. 20 million nanobots per ship. Over 4 billion microscopic machines launched into space, spreading out in clouds that were invisible to the naked eye. In the weapons factory, then the fleet construction yard, then the Central Military Command building 50 explosions in 50 locations. All within 5 minutes. All military targets. 0 civilian casualties. What is happening? Thraxis shouted into his communication device. But the device was dead. The nanobots had reached Zarkath Prime 2, shutting down military communication networks. Back in Earth's solar system, Emperor Vreeth stared at his command screens in disbelief. His fleet was in ruins. His homeworld was under attack. His empire was falling apart. How? He whispered. How is this possible? They're humans. They're primitives. They have inferior technology. Admiral Chen's face appeared on every screen in the Zarkathian fleet. Every surviving ship, every escape pod, every emergency channel. She had taken control of their entire communication network. Emperor Vereth, she said, her voice cold as ice. You ask how? I'll tell you. For 200 years, we prepared for this. While you thought we were weak, we were building. While you thought we were primitive, we were learning. While you thought we feared you, we were infiltrating every corner of your empire. She paused, letting that sink in. You killed 10 billion of our people. You broadcast it to the galaxy. You thought it would break us? Instead, you taught us exactly what you are. Murderers, tyrants, and now you'll face justice. This is impossible. Wrath screamed. You're lying. This is some trick. No trick, Chen replied. Just preparation. You have 2 options now. Option 1, surrender completely. Disarm every weapon. Disband your military. stand trial for your crimes. Option 2. Watch as we systematically dismantle every military capability you have, piece by piece, until you have no choice but to surrender. Vareth's face turned dark with rage. I am the Emperor of the Zarkathian Empire. I have ruled for 60 years. I will not surrender to humans. Chen nodded as if she had expected that response. Then you choose option 2. General Webb, proceed with total military neutralization. Across the galaxy, the remaining quantum bombs activated, not all at once, in waves. Each wave targeted a different class of military installation. First, the weapons factories. Then, the training facilities. Then the research laboratories. Then the command centers. The Empire's military infrastructure began to crumble. And humanity made sure the entire galaxy watched. They broadcast everything. Every military installation destroyed. Every warship captured. Every weapons cache disabled. But they also broadcast something else. Video evidence. Recorded proof of every species the Empire had massacred over 3,000 years. The humans had been gathering this evidence for decades. Now they presented it to the galaxy. Look at what they've done, Admiral Chen's voice narrated over the images. 217 species exterminated. 639 worlds burned. Trillions killed. And the galaxy watched and did nothing because we were afraid. The images showed the Thenio's homeworld burning 200 years ago. The Belmar colonies destroyed 400 years ago. The Korath subjugation 700 years ago. Massacre after massacre after massacre. Today, humanity says no more, Chen continued. Not just for us. For every species that ever suffered under imperial tyranny, today, the Zarkathian military dies. Not their people. Not their civilians. But their ability to kill innocents ends now. On Earth, people watched in proud silence. They had lost 10 billion family members. But they were getting justice, not revenge. Justice. On Zarkath Prime, civilian Zarkathians watched in shock. Many had not known the full extent of their empire's crimes. The government had hidden so much. Now, seeing the truth, many felt shame. In his flagship, Emperor Varoth watched his empire burn. Around him, his crew began removing their weapons and military insignia. His own guards stepped away from their posts. Your Majesty, his first officer said quietly, it's over. We cannot fight this. They've beaten us. Vrath whispered, I still have one option. One final way to win. He pulled up a secret communication channel. One that bypassed all the compromised systems. A channel that connected to the Empire's ultimate weapon. A weapon so terrible that previous emperors had forbidden its use. Activate the stellar ignition array, Varath commanded. Target Earth's sun. If I cannot rule, then humanity will die with me. In Geneva, alarms screamed. Dr. Yamamoto's face went white as he checked his sensors. General Webb, he said, voice shaking. The Emperor just activated something we didn't know about. It's called the Stellar Ignition Array. It's a weapon designed to make stars explode. Can we stop it? Webb asked. Yamamoto worked frantically, his fingers flying over controls. It's in a pocket dimension. We can't reach it. We can't destroy it, sir. ... Earth's sun is going to explode in 12 minutes. He's going to kill us and half the solar system. Webb stood silent for a moment. Then he picked up his communication device. Admiral Chen, we have a problem. Part 4. The impossible choice, 12 minutes. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication channel. Can we evacuate? Negative, Dr. Yamamoto replied, checking his calculations again. Even if we started right now, couldn't get more than a few million people off Earth. The solar system has 40 billion humans. They all die if that star explodes. General Webb stood in the Geneva Command Center, surrounded by his staff. Everyone looked at him, waiting for orders. He had prepared for war. He had prepared for losses. But he hadn't prepared for this. Where's the weapon located? He asked. The Imperial Palace on Zarkath Prime, Yamamoto answered. But it exists in a pocket dimension. The only entrance is inside the Emperor's throne room. It's surrounded by his elite guard. Even if we could get there in time, we have ghost ships in that system, Commander Volkov interrupted. 3 of them hidden near Zarkath Prime. They could reach the palace in 4 minutes. Webb checked the tactical display. For minutes to reach the palace, that left 8 minutes to get inside, find the weapon, and stop it. 8 minutes to save 40 billion lives.
Do it, Webb ordered.
Get me Captain Maria Santos. She's on Ghost Ship 7. 30 seconds later, Maria's face appeared on screen. She was 40 years old, veteran of 100 covert operations, decorated for missions that remained classified. She had also lost her parents on Mars Colony 7. Captain Santos, Webb said. I need a miracle. He explained the situation quickly. Maria listened without interrupting, her dark eyes calculating odds and possibilities. Sir, she said when he finished, even if we reach the throne room, we don't know how to shut down this weapon. We've never seen it before. Dr. Yamamoto is working on that. He'll guide you remotely. Can you do it? Maria looked at her crew. 30 special operations soldiers, the best humanity had. They had trained together for 15 years. They were ready. He'll do it or die trying, sir. Ghost Ship 7 moving to intercept. Edda to Palace. For minutes. The ship accelerated. Inside the pocket dimension weapon chamber, the stellar ignition array hummed with power. It was ancient technology, built by a long-dead species, discovered by the Zarkathians 1,000 years ago. It could reach across space and touch a star, forcing it into premature supernova. 12 minutes until Earth's sun exploded. Meanwhile, another problem emerged. Emperor Varoth wasn't finished. In his madness, he had sent final orders to 5 Imperial fleets. Each fleet was commanded to destroy the homeworld of 5 different species. Species that had nothing to do with humanity. Random targets. Innocent worlds. Why? Admiral Chen demanded when she intercepted the orders. Why kill them? They're not even involved in this war. But Vareth's logic was simple and evil. If Earth wanted to save those worlds, they would have to split their forces. They couldn't be everywhere at once. Either humanity let innocents die, or they failed to stop the stellar ignition array in time. Either way, Vrath won something. The 5 target worlds were Belmar, Thenios, Korath, Sylvan, and Drexus. Combined population, 80 billion beings. The Imperial fleets would reach them in 40 minutes. Can't reach all of them in time, Chen reported to Webb. Our ghost fleet is spread across the galaxy. We can maybe protect 3 worlds. But the other 2, Webb felt the weight of command crushing him. Save Earth by focusing everything on stopping the array. Or split forces, save some aliens, but risk failing to stop the array? 40 billion humans versus 80 billion aliens. How did anyone make that choice? Split the fleet, Webb ordered. Save who we can. We'll stop the array with the team we have. Chen hesitated. Sir, if we fail, then we fail knowing we tried to save everyone instead of just ourselves. Send ships to Belmar, Thenios, and Korath. They're closest. Move now. The ghost ships deployed. On Belmar, an insectoid world covered in hive cities, alarms began to sound. The people looked to their sky, knowing death approached. They had lived under imperial rule for 3 centuries, always afraid, always obedient. Now they would die for nothing. Then the ghost ships appeared. 7 human vessels against a Zarkathian fleet of 50 warships. This is Admiral Chen of Earth, her voice broadcast to Belmar. We're here to help. Begin evacuations immediately. We'll hold them off as long as we can. The Belmar couldn't believe it. Why would humans save them? But there was no time for questions. 15 billion insectoid beings began rushing to transport ships. The ghost ships engaged the Imperial fleet, using tactics the Zarkathians had never seen. 1 ship would appear, fire, then disappear. Another would materialize behind enemy vessels, release nanobots, then vanish. They weren't trying to destroy the fleet. They were buying time. At Thenios, a similar battle began. The Thenios were master engineers, builders of incredible technology. But they had no military. The Empire had forbidden that centuries ago. When the Imperial fleet arrived to kill their 12 billion people, they had no defense until Earth arrived. Ghost ships appeared and began evacuating Theneos civilians while fighting off the attackers. At Quareth, the same. 5 billion purple-skinned humanoids being rescued by a species they barely knew, but at Sylvan and Drexus, no help came. Earth's ghost ships couldn't reach them in time. The people of those worlds watched their skies and waited for death. On Sylvan, Mother held her 3 children as the bombs began to fall. On Drexus, an old teacher stood with his students, singing their planetary anthem one last time. 30 billion beings died in 20 minutes. Earth broadcast it all. The galaxy watched humans risk everything to save aliens, while their own homeworld faced destruction. They watched humans fail to save everyone, but try anyway, and something changed in the galaxy that day. Something fundamental. On Ghost Ship 7, Captain Maria Santos crashed through the Imperial Palace dome. Her ship came in fast and hard, smashing through defensive shields with brute force. The ship landed in the palace garden, crushing ancient trees. Go, 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 Maria shouted. Her team poured out, weapons ready. The elite palace guard attacked immediately. They were the best warriors the Empire had, wearing powered armor, carrying energy weapons. Maria's team fought through them room by room, corridor by corridor. Yamamoto, I need that throne room location. Maria shouted into her communicator while shooting down 2 guards. Uploading map now, Yamamoto's voice came back. But Maria, I've analyzed the weapon. I can't shut it down remotely. Someone has to be physically there, and it's going to kill whoever does it. The radiation levels. How long until Earth's sun explodes? Maria interrupted. 5 minutes. We don't have time to worry about radiation. Tell me how to stop it. Her team reached the throne room. Emperor Vrath stood there, a weapon in each hand, mad smile on his face. Around him, bodies of his own guards lay dead. He had killed them himself rather than let them surrender. Come to die, human? Vrath laughed. Your sun explodes in minutes. Your world burns. I win, Maria shot him. No speech. No dramatic confrontation. Just a single shot through his head. The Emperor fell, his mad laughter ending abruptly. Throne room secured, Maria reported. Where's the array entrance? Behind the throne, Yamamoto directed. You'll see a panel. Touch it with your hand. Maria found the panel. The moment she touched it, reality twisted. Space folded around her. Suddenly she stood in a chamber that couldn't exist. It was impossibly large, filled with machinery that hurt to look at. At the center, a sphere of pure light pulsed with power. The stellar ignition array. I'm in, Maria said. Yamamoto, walk me through this. The control panel is directly in front of you. But Maria, listen carefully. You can't deactivate it. The process is already too far along. You can only redirect it. Change the target star. To what? I'm not killing another inhabited system. There's an uninhabited star system at the galaxy's edge. The Empire used it for weapons testing. System designation KX7. No planets. No life. Just an old star scheduled to die naturally in a few million years anyway. Target that one. Maria's hands flew over the controls. Her radiation badge was already red, meaning lethal dose absorbed. She had minutes to live, maybe less. But she didn't care. If she died saving Earth, that was enough. 3 minutes until detonation, Yamamoto warned. The controls were complex, ancient. She made mistakes, had to restart. Her hands began shaking. Radiation poisoning was setting in. Her vision blurred. Maria, your biosigns, Yamamoto began. Hey, I'm fine. Shut up and let me work. 2 minutes, she found the targeting system. Earth's sun glowed bright in the display, pulsing as the weapon prepared to touch it, to force it into supernova. Her fingers moved over alien symbols, trying to understand the interface. 1 minute. I don't know if I can do this in time, Maria admitted. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Blood ran from her nose. Radiation burns appeared on her skin. You can do it, Yamamoto said softly. I believe in you, Captain. 30 seconds, Maria found it. The target selector, she moved it from Sol to System KX7, an uninhabited star 9,000 light-years away. She entered the coordinates, checked them twice. No time for a third check. 10 seconds. She pressed confirm. The array fired, but not at Earth's sun. At a distant star that would have died anyway. That star exploded in spectacular fashion, supernova visible across the galaxy. Beautiful, harmless to any living thing. Maria collapsed. The radiation had destroyed her body from the inside. She lay on the impossible floor of the pocket dimension chamber, bleeding and dying, but smiling Earth. She whispered into her communicator.
Safe.
Yamamoto replied, his voice breaking. You did it, Maria. Earth is safe. Good, she whispered. Then her eyes closed. Her team found her 5 minutes later. They carried her body back to the ship with full honors. Captain Maria Santos, who gave her life to save 40 billion people she would never meet. The war wasn't over, but the worst had been prevented. Earth survived. 3 alien species were rescued. 2 were lost. The stellar ignition array was destroyed, and across the galaxy, beings who had watched everything unfold began to understand something important. Humanity hadn't just fought for themselves. They had fought for others. They had risked everything to save species they barely knew. The Belmar Council convened an emergency session. The humans saved us, the Queen Mother said. When they could have focused only on themselves, they came for us. We owe them a debt that can never be repaid. Then let us pay it anyway, her military commander replied. Let us join their war. Let us help them finish what they started. Similar conversations happened on Thenios, on Korth, on dozens of other worlds that had watched the broadcast. The galaxy was changing. The Empire had ruled through fear for 3 millennia. Humanity was showing another way. Part 5. Alien Extinct. 3 months after Captain Maria Santos gave her life, the galaxy looked completely different. The Zarkathian Empire was collapsing. Not from external pressure alone, but from internal revolution. When the Belmar pledged their military forces to Earth, others followed. The Thenios offered their engineering expertise, upgrading Earth's weapon systems with innovations the Empire had suppressed for centuries. The Quarith master strategists shared intelligence they had secretly gathered for generations. Within weeks, 30 species had declared independence from the Empire. Within 2 months, 50 species. By month 3, the rebellion included 200 different worlds, all united under one banner: freedom from tyranny. General Marcus Webb stood in the new Coalition Command Center, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. Zarkathian military installations surrendered daily, some without even fighting. The Empire's tributary species no longer feared them. The quantum bombs and nanobots had broken the Empire's military power. Now, the will to resist was breaking their political power. But the war wasn't over. In a secret bunker beneath Zarkath Prime's capital city, the High Council convened an emergency session. Emperor Vrath was dead, killed by Captain Santos. They needed a new leader. They chose poorly. General Korthon took command. He was Vrath's nephew, even more ruthless, even more desperate. He gathered the council around him and spoke words that would doom them all. The Empire cannot fall, Korthon declared. 3,000 years of glory cannot end because of humans and their rebellion. I will not allow it. General Council Member Thrax said carefully, Our military is broken. 200 worlds have left us. The humans have weapons we cannot counter. Perhaps it's time to negotiate surrender. To save what we can. Korthon shot Thrax dead. The old council member fell, eyes wide with shock. The other council members froze. Anyone else want to discuss surrender? Korthon asked coldly. No one spoke. Good. Now listen. Our ancestors left us one final weapon. Something even more terrible than the stellar ignition array. Something the humans don't know about. He pulled up classified files from the deepest Imperial archives. Files marked with warnings not to open, except in case of species extinction. Files that previous emperors had sworn never to use. The cascade generator, Korthon explained. It creates a chain reaction across the quantum foam of space itself. When activated, it destroys everything in a 50 light-year radius. Everything, every planet, every ship, every living thing, gone. The council members stared in horror. That's suicide, one whispered. Zarkoth Prime is inside that radius, as Korthon agreed. But Earth is also inside that radius. The rebellion's headquarters is inside that radius. 200 rebel worlds are inside that radius. If we cannot rule, then no one rules. We all die together. Back on Earth, Dr. Yamamoto was working late when his quantum sensors detected something strange. An energy buildup in the Zarkoth system. But not normal energy. Something twisted, wrong, impossible. General Webby called urgently. I'm detecting massive quantum fluctuations at Zarkoth Prime. Something's building up power. Something huge. Webb arrived within minutes. What am I looking at? I don't know. The energy signature is like nothing in our database. But whatever it is, when it releases, ... Yamamoto ran calculations, his face going pale. Sir, if my math is right, this will destroy everything within 50 light-years. That includes Earth. That includes most of the coalition. How long until it fires? 72 hours. Maybe less. Webb immediately called an emergency meeting. Admiral Chen joined from orbit. Commander Volkov joined from her forward base. Leaders from the Belmar, Thenios, and Quarith joined via quantum communication. They're going to destroy themselves and take us with them, Webb explained. We have 3 options. 1. Evacuate 50 light-years of space in 72 hours. Impossible. 2. Destroy the weapon before it fires. 3. Find a way to contain or redirect the blast. Can we destroy it? The Belmar Queen Mother asked. It's underground, Volkov reported. 3 kilometers beneath Zarkoth Prime's surface, surrounded by shield generators that we can't penetrate fast enough. By the time we dig through, it'll be too late. Then we redirect it, Admiral Chen said. Like Captain Santos redirected the stellar array. We changed the target to where? Someone asked. This thing destroys 50 light-years of space. There's nowhere safe to redirect it. Anywhere we point it kills billions. Dr. Yamamoto worked frantically. Wait, there might be a way. The cascade doesn't just destroy space. It opens a temporary rift in dimensions. If we could widen that rift, extend it, we could redirect the energy into another dimension entirely. A dead dimension. Empty space where nothing exists. Can we do that? Webb asked. I'd need to physically access the cascade generator. Modify it while it's charging. The radiation alone would kill me in minutes. And if I make a mistake, the whole thing could explode early, killing us all instantly. I'll go, Commander Volkov said immediately. I'm a soldier. I'm trained for suicide missions. No, Yamamoto said firmly. You don't understand the physics. Only I can make the modifications. It has to be me, Admiral Chen stood. Then I'm going with you. You'll need someone to watch your back while you work. And me, said a new voice. Everyone turned. It was Lieutenant Commander James Harris, Sarah Chen's second-in-command from Defense Station Olympus. He had lost his entire family on Mars Colony 7. I'm going to... If this is how I die, at least I die protecting others instead of watching them burn. Webb looked at the 3 volunteers. You understand this is one way? No extraction. No rescue. You're going to die down there. Better than letting billions die up here, Yamamoto replied simply. The mission launched 18 hours later. A single ghost ship carried the 3-person team straight to Zarkoth Prime. The planet's defenses were broken. Its orbital stations captured or destroyed. Nothing stopped them from landing. They touched down near the entrance to the underground bunker complex. Korthon's guards met them with weapons fire. The battle was short and brutal. Harris and Volkov fought with the determination of people who knew they were already dead. They just needed to stay alive long enough to finish the mission. They fought through 3 levels of bunker defenses. Lost 15 Marines, who had volunteered to provide support. Finally reached the chamber housing the cascade generator. It was massive. 10 stories tall, built around a sphere of darkness that seemed to eat light itself. Around it, Zarkathian technicians worked frantically to complete the charging sequence. Volkov and Harris opened fire. Clearing the room, Yamamoto ran to the control console, hands flying over alien interfaces. The radiation meter on his suit screamed warnings. Lethal dose absorbed in 30 seconds. Then 60 seconds. Then 2 minutes. How long do you need? Volkov shouted, firing at reinforcements trying to enter the chamber.
5 to 10 minutes.
Yamamoto shouted back. Maybe 15? They fought for every second. Harris took a plasma burst to the chest, but kept fighting. Volkov's armor was torn open, exposing her to radiation, but she didn't stop. More Zarkathian guards poured in, wave after wave. Yamamoto worked, while hell erupted around him. His hands shook from radiation poisoning. Blood poured from his nose. But he kept working, modifying ancient technology he barely understood, trying to save a galaxy while dying minute by minute. Timer, Chen asked, shooting down 3 guards. Cascade fires in 12 minutes, Yamamoto replied. I need 8 more minutes for the modifications. You'll get them, Volkov promised, reloading her weapon. They held the line. 2 living humans and 1 dying scientist against an army. They shouldn't have lasted 3 minutes. But they were humanity. They had lost families, friends, homes. They had watched 10 billion people die. They weren't going to let it happen again. Harris died at minute 7, shot through the head while protecting Yamamoto's back. Volkov screamed in rage and grief, fighting harder, faster, more desperately. Done. Yamamoto shouted at minute 15. The rift is modified. When the cascade fires, it'll open a dimensional gateway and channel all the energy into empty space. Nothing here will be harmed. Then let's get out of here. Volkov grabbed him. Can't, Yamamoto said, coughing blood. Someone has to manually activate the final sequence. From here, can't be done remotely. The controls will explode from the power surge. Volkov stared at him. You're not serious? I'm already dead, Yamamoto said gently. 300 rads of radiation in the first 5 minutes? My organs are failing. I've got maybe an hour left. This way, my death means something. And I'm staying with you, Volkov said. No, you're going back and telling Earth we won. Tell them the Empire can't hurt anyone anymore. Tell them what we did here mattered. Promise me. Volkov, the hardened Special Operations Commander, who never cried, had tears streaming down her face. I promise. She left carrying Harris's body. Behind her, Dr. Yamamoto sat at the control console, waiting for the final moment. General Corthon burst into the chamber, weapon raised. What have you done? He screamed, seeing the modifications. Save the galaxy, Yamamoto replied. From you? From the Empire. From all tyrants who think murder is strength, Corthon fired. The shot hit Yamamoto in the chest. The old scientist slumped, but kept his hand on the activation control. You can't stop it now, Yamamoto whispered. When the cascade fires, it'll open into another dimension. Everyone survives. Everyone except people in this room. Then you die with me, Corthon snarled. I was dead anyway, Yamamoto said. But my death saves billions. Your death just ends a monster. I win. The cascade generator reached critical power. The sphere of darkness expanded, consuming the walls, the ceiling, everything. Corthon screamed as reality tore apart around him. Yamamoto closed his eyes, thinking of Earth, of his daughter who had died on Mars, Colony 7. Of Captain Santos, who had saved them all once before. The cascade fired. For one terrible moment, space itself screamed. Then the dimensional rift opened exactly as Yamamoto had programmed. All that destructive energy poured into an empty dimension, harming nothing and no one in this reality. When it was over, Zarketh Prime still existed. Earth still existed. The coalition still existed. In the bunker chamber, nothing remained. Not the Cascade generator. Not General Corthon. Not Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, but the galaxy survived. News spread fast. The war was over. The Empire had no weapons left. No fleets, no leadership. The remaining Zarkathian Council members surrendered unconditionally. Earth's terms were harsh, but fair. Complete military disarmament. War crimes trials for everyone involved in massacres. Reparations to every species they had oppressed. But the Zarkathian civilians, ordinary people who had no part in imperial atrocities, were offered a place in the new galactic coalition. Most accepted. They were tired of war, tired of empire, tired of being feared and hated. They wanted to be part of something better. 5 years later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on Mars Colony 7, or rather, the new Mars Colony 7. They had rebuilt it. 20 billion people lived here now. Humans and aliens together. The memorial park at the center honored the 10 billion who had died, and also Captain Maria Santos, Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, Lieutenant Commander James Harris, and Commander Alina Volkov. Heroes who gave everything. Sarah's daughter, named Maya after Sarah's niece, who died in the original massacre. Played in the park with Belmar children, Teneos children, Quarath children, different species. One future. Admiral Chen, a voice said behind her. She turned to see a young Zarkathian, maybe 20 years old, wearing civilian clothes. I wanted to thank you. For what? Sarah asked carefully. Relations with Zarkathians were still complicated. For not destroying us when you could have. My father was a soldier in the Empire. He died in the war. He was wrong. The Empire was wrong. But you gave people like me, who were born into that system, a chance to be better. Thank you, Sarah nodded slowly. That's what this was all about. Not revenge. Not even justice alone. But giving everyone a chance to be better? To build something better. The Galactic Coalition Council had 200 member species now. No single species held absolute power. Decisions were made democratically. Military strength was limited by treaty. Wars of conquest were outlawed. The concept of empire itself was made illegal. Humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it. And in doing so, they changed what it meant to be powerful. Power wasn't about who had the biggest weapons. It was about who stood up for others when standing up was dangerous. Who sacrificed when sacrifice was needed.